Look, I retired a few days ago, and if I'm honest, mostly things are where they should be. The numbers have been calculated, the forms are in, all the boxes have been checked, but the pension hasn't arrived yet. And logically, I'm like, it must be coming. Millions of people have walked this path before me, but in this moment, I'm worried. Um, it's a specific kind of concern of feeling like the floor isn't quite solid. And I'm just trying to stay present while I wait. Uh, and as I was thinking about this and I was trying to prepare for this, I got to thinking, this feeling reminds me of another time that I felt a deep level of cellular uncertainty. It was years ago when I was about to give birth. I remember becoming so overwhelmed with fear. But back then, I wasn't just scared, I was confused. I was confused and surprised that no one had ever told me how scary having a baby actually was. Um, Now I realize that these two things are not the same. A financial way, childbirth, they're worlds apart, but for some reason, this is what my mind recalled. Viscerally, my gut says they're connected. Even if my brain can't explain why, they don't seem connected. Childbirth and waiting on a pension. But that gives you an idea how terrifying this feels to me. You know, I've been working, maybe many of us have been working since we were 14 years old. So, and working lends you a paycheck. And so now the worry I'm having today, somehow, of not getting paid feels identical to the fear that surfaced in me at that time. At that time, I got to thinking women die in childbirth, and that's a fact. But back then, it felt like all the women around me were in cahoots, like they were deliberately keeping the truth from me. They told me, oh, you'll forget the pain. You'll be so excited to do it all over again, to have another child. That another excited time never came for me. I never, ever forgot the pain. In fact, I'm the type who notoriously remembers the bad stuff. Let me tell you what I mean. I anchor my memory to how I felt in that moment so that I never ever forget the feeling that made me feel bad, especially if it made me feel very bad. It reminds me of this people don't remember what you do or necessarily what you say to them, but they do remember how you feel. And so I remember a feeling and I hold on to it. Anyhow, I felt betrayed by women's silence back then. I felt like what they were doing was cap. The pain of delivery was grueling, and I decided right then that I would never keep information from other women, especially if that information could help change their lives. I refused to be a part of the secret. Back then, lying in that delivery room, I was intellectually aware of what might happen because the pain was telling me, you might not make it. And the pain was no joke. And I'm telling you that fear in that moment was screaming at me. But I had to find a way to navigate the process. I was pregnant and I was going to deliver. I remember having to literally talking to myself. And I'm like, girl, this is how every single person on this earth arrived. You can do this. They did it. You can do this. And like many other mothers before you, you'll survive. That internal talk was the only thing that got me through the delivery. I mean, obviously, I had doctors and so forth there, but nobody could really comfort me. It was a difficult time. Talking to myself with facts didn't take away the pain, but it gave me a solid place to stand on while the pain was happening. Now, I'm not sure why that specific memory came back to me in this moment, maybe because retirement is another kind of birth. It's a delivery to a new life that hasn't been seen by me before. And the truth about my previous employer is I don't trust them. They didn't care for me when I was there. So I find a part of me finds it hard to believe that they'll care for me now that I'm gone. Well, intellectually, I know at least a couple of millions of people have walked into retirement and were very happy to leave. Um, in fact, I know several of them. And I know that their pensions made its way to their accounts. But in this moment, emotionally, I feel so different from those millions. And not even those stats are comforting me. I'm like, Lord, what's happening to me? Um, when you're the one waiting in the dark, it doesn't matter how many people found light before you did. You're in the dark, not them. I tell myself it must be coming, but emotionally, I'm sitting in the gap. I'm in between their promises and my reality, and I can barely stand it. At my core, I'm a pragmatist, yet I'm also a realist. And I know that things don't always work out perfectly, yet when you have the data, you can try to let that data be your calm rather than carrying the full weight of the worry. You know, in this time, I'm going to keep talking to myself. I'm going to keep talking myself through the facts that I know. And I'm saying, girl, you have a choice. You can choose to hold on to rationality and facts. That's me trying to take care of myself. And that may seem small, but your girl got to get a handle on it, on her feelings. In this moment, I'm reminding my body that I'm safe, even when my pension check is literally still in the air. But you know, I'm a survivor. And I recall from my history that your girl pushes through. You know, what can I say? And that knowledge is my roadmap. That in the past, when things were heavy, I made it through. So I'm trying to rest on that. I'm trying to rest on that. I'm trying to trust in that. Um, I recognize that I've earned this. So in the meantime, I'm staying busy. I'm waiting for it. And hopefully that helps you too. If you're waiting for your own delivery today, if you're being told that it'll all be fine by people who have never actually looked out for you, try and stay present with yourself. Don't rush to judgment. Remember how you got through something in the past. Stay busy. Set a reasonable timer to circle back if you need to. And then check on that thing then. But until then, wait. And I'm talking to us. And if you're waiting, I'm here and we're waiting together. All right. It's Minty Rae signing on and off. And if you like these kind of conversations, um, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Um, I always got something deeply reflective to share. So take care of yourselves. Until then, I will see ya tomorrow. Later.